Welcome everybody to What the Flick, Mad Men, Cenk, Alonso, Gina, Ben. The episode here in season 6, right? Season 6, for immediate release. Obviously, all of us saw the episode, but we need to know what it was actually about, so we turned to Alonso.
We were like lost souls last week.
Yeah, as soon as I saw you this morning, I'm like, oh, thank God he's here.
We didn't know how to begin the segment last week. Like, I don't know what.
Well, it's nice to be back. Thank you. I think that you could have named this episode "Let's Make a Deal," because it felt like everybody was faced with the, do you want to keep the $500 envelope you already have, or do you want what Carol Merrill has behind curtain number 2? Because everybody is faced with this quandary of their existing relationships versus the unattainable ones, and do they risk one for the other? Yeah. That's sort of for me, it seemed to be kind of the through line. Of the,
he's good. He's just good. Yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
So you're dealing with obviously the everybody's worried they're losing their car company. They're maybe going to get another car company.
No, it's good. That's exactly what it was, and with relationships also.
Sure.
So last week with the MLK episode, right? Was that last week? Yeah. So we praised Pete and his sort of stand-up action and this sort of exclamation point, like, oh, look at Pete Campbell for the first time, right? And then it just back again.
What
like,
do you mean? I'm still a huge fan of Pete from this episode.
His moment of your father was with a 200-pound Negro hooker.
Well, you know what? That's mutually assured destruction.
Right.
He pressed the button, Pete's got to press the button.
And Pete was, like everybody, they're outraged that Don, after everything everyone's been through, all the sacrifices everyone's made, he's still just Don versus everybody else.
No, I got his moment with Don, other than his inability to handle a situation professionally under stress.
It's not his forte.
Right, but that said, of course he could have said that. It's just you say it in a meeting, which is what Joan, who's the only sane one there, suggested that they maybe go inside for this conversation.
And of course, character we least want to see in his underwear, it happens this week.
Who do we see?
Pete Campbell.
Oh, right, totally, yeah.
That's right.
And initially, Trudy or Trudy?
Trudy. Yes, this is the facts of life.
Yeah, so when she was in bed with Natalie, I was shocked. I did not know it was a very special episode.
This is Garrett. Anyway, yes,
So
Trudy.
Pete, I had no problems with what he did to Don, and Don's an ass for doing it. But the flip side is I kind of like Don's brash actions. I mean, he really had Roger bail him out, right? And then he helped in the bailing out, etc. Sure. But life is like that. Sometimes you got to take bold action, and yes, you don't have a great plan B, but you're going to make one up, right?
Well, I love that Joan calls him on his bullshit in terms of, I did not need to be rescued. You did not have to do this for me. This was a business transaction, and now you've made it personal. And by making it personal, that makes me a whore.
Right.
And you know what? That's a great point. But like, I thought her best point was like, I went through all that, and now it's for nothing, you schmuck.
Right.
Like you made it like pointless.
Right. So I mean, so now she was just a whore, whereas before, look, it was a bit. It paid off. There was a reason. There was a reason.
I think she's a hooker either way, but at least it was worth it, right?
Yeah,
Before,
but I mean,
she's a partner. Thank you very much.
But I mean, she prostituted herself. But I mean, they all do. Right.
No, I'm not judging her. I'm just saying in terms of what it is.
And she always has so much acting and so much feeling behind the eyes, because there's so much she just doesn't feel like it's worth saying. If she says it, they're going to look at her this way, so she's just going to swallow it. And this time she was like, you know what? No, I'm sick of being treated like this. Like, screw both of you. Screw all of you, and especially Dawn.
So I think my main role on this particular show is to go around saying what good points other people have made. Okay? so Gina really nailed it there, because Joan does the most acting behind her eyes I've ever seen anywhere, right?
Well, that's
like you can see her bottling it up, but that is much better than that.
That is as high a praise you can give an actor, by the way.
Right.
So I wrote down here in my notes, Joan wins an Emmy. Like that was that moment.
Now, did we know about this whole public thing, the IPO, before this episode? Did that just leap out of nowhere?
That just came out of nowhere.
Because interesting Joan note, I think the first time we've ever seen her with her hair down in the office.
Well, that's funny. I was going to bring that up because I was the only American not into Joan. Right? Because I'm not into gingers. I like souls and stuff. But okay, sorry. But with her hair down, I was like,
I'm listening.
Well, hello.
Interesting.
Where have you been for 10
It's
years?
season 6.
Yeah.
Jack's like, this girl is very attractive.
Have you noticed her breasts?
Yeah.
Is this show set in the 60s?
But that was the first moment. That was Joan's first 1968 moment.
Yeah.
Fashion style wise. Like all of a
Yeah.
sudden, she would never have dressed that way before, but
Right.
obviously this is.
I mean,
Swinging
at home
60s.
we've seen it, but this
Right.
is The Office. It was the first.
So I thought Joan would win an Emmy for that. I thought it was great, but I don't think that Pete had the mutually assured destruction. I don't think that Pete had to, because I thought Trudy's point was great. I thought Trudy's point was great.
I thought Blair Warner's was
he's
better.
like, what choice did I have? And she says, you had lots of choices, and one of your choices wasn't necessarily after the fact. Like, the damage is done. Does he think going to Trudy now and saying your father was with a 200-pound Negro whore is all of a sudden going to get Vic's back?
No, but here's the thing. He's got a kid. If he is going to get booted out of all their lives because, he's a whoremonger, and the kid is going to grow up thinking, Pete, my terrible father, then he needs to lay it down like, look, here's what really happened. Here's this guy being a hypocrite. I'm not the only one. You're not going to judge me for this thing that your father is also doing.
Okay,
that is the legacy that he's got to protect.
So it's not so much about Vic's at this point.
No.
It's about his family.
Shattering that image of her perfect father.
It's totally about the
Okay,
family.
all right.
Yeah.
And he said that to him in the meeting.
I'm going to pull a Cenk. Great point.
He said that in the meeting to him. He said, when Vix, we'll just call him Vix, right?
Yeah, sure.
Vix was all, pissy and how dare you, and my pretty little angel could have had anyone she wanted. He was like, you own a mirror?
Yeah.
Right.
We saw each other at the same
that's a bro code moment.
Yeah.
Right, except the problem I can't get past is that, hey, you own a mirror? We saw each other the same thing, and you were with a black girl.
Yeah.
Like, at least I had the decency to be with a white hooker.
Right. Now, that didn't bother me at all, because I take that in the context of the time. Like, in the context of the time, they're like, well, a black hooker is obviously worse than a white hooker. I win.
I think
right?
a black hooker is
Right.
kinky.
Yeah.
Like that's actually it's taboo. You
Right.
know?
So to
Did
me,
you catch Bob's look at as the black hooker went out?
Yes.
Like Pete was like straightening himself up, and
Bob was kinda like,
Bob was like, whoa. Yeah.
Can we talk about Bob?
Can we not talk about Bob?
He is
Bob doesn't
he is
deserve.
he is the bomb. I think in terms of the fact that he's being planted very delicately in the
Everywhere,
right
yeah.
places.
So annoying.
Next to last episode, he is gonna there's gonna be crazy Bob shit.
I agree.
And I want to know what it's gonna
theory
be.
on Bob. Okay, my theory on Bob is that when they go public, he will become the CEO. Okay, like you'll be like, what?
He'll do a leveraged buyout.
No.
kind of-
Because he's a
financial guy.
Yeah.
He's a financial guy and he's a glad hander.
Yeah.
So when you go public, you lose control, right? So somebody comes up from above and goes,
Interesting.
I like Bob, and all of a sudden Bob's in charge.
And so
right?
instead of it being called SCDP it'll just be called Bob and Ted.
Right.
The Bob and Ted agency.
So, like, the funny thing is, Ida Roll is still in the room. I almost turned to him to see if I'd gotten it right. Like as if he'd read the Mad Men books. Okay, now I want to go back to Pete for a second, because I'm so angry at how dumb he is.
Yes.
Okay, like, so that was really poorly played. More than the...
He is not winning the Game of Thrones.
No, he's not. More than the ethics, more than the morality, etc. Listen, schmuck, first of all, talk to the father a little more. It drives me crazy in all these shows that they don't talk enough, right?
It's like when, for me, it's when they are, like, you're on the run, the cops are coming for you, you're in a hotel in the middle of the country, you see the story about how they're looking for you on TV, and then you turn it off. Like halfway through.
Yeah. Like, no, you're not going to turn it off.
Smash is built entirely of 5-minute conversations that no one is having, or else the whole show would be over.
And to add to your point, Pete is actually very arrogant in the sense that he straightens himself up for 1 second. He's like, look, we can talk this out, because he has one chance, in his opinion. There's no other way. And the guy says no. And he goes, well, fine, I'm gonna Pete you then. I'm gonna be Pete about it. But he tries. He's like, look, let me try to let's just handle this like men. No. Well, then starts taking off his earrings and pops my heels.
So yeah,
He's a hissy thrower.
he is,
He
and he's
is.
young and he's an idiot, I guess. But I mean, look. So here's the conversation I wanted him to have with his father-in-law. Look, guy, we're caught in this situation. If you pull Vicks, well, obviously I'm going to have to throw you under the bus. I mean, like, what choice do you leave me? You're leaving me no choice. So you tell me how this plays out.
Yeah, you
like,
don't want to
how
leave
is it
me
that
with
you
nothing
think
to lose.
Right, you're leaving me with nothing to lose. So you either give me a plan B, or we make this right somehow, or I'm going to
We're
go
all
home.
going down.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go home and tell Trudy right now. Right?
Yeah,
So like, how do you? I'm like, I would want to ask him, how do you see that playing out as a win for you?
He said,
Right?
he said to Pete, Vic said to Pete, "You'll do the right thing," and Pete needed to say then, "No, I won't."
The hell I will.
No, and he needed to say it in a convincing way.
Right.
Like to say, pull him down and say, "You're not getting it. I'm about to go tell your daughter and your wife that you were with a 200-pound Negro hooker." Okay? Like, okay, and if you're prepared for that, great. Then we have a deal. You screw me, I screw you, and we move on with our
Meanwhile,
lives.
I went to a whorehouse as a guy who's been thrown out of his house, and I'm a single guy living
Yeah.
in New York City.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And yeah, exactly. I would have added that one little
Well,
thing.
not single, but you know.
Right, but I mean, right.
Yes,
Single
yes,
adjacent.
yes.
No, and I would have clarified. Look, you think that this is somehow you're breaking news to Trudy, but number one, all you're doing is hurting her more. Number two, we already have this situation which is not ideal. So the amount of loss I'm going to bear is really small compared to the amount of loss you're going to bear.
You're coming.
Right.
You're
She
coming after
already
my
doesn't like
firm
me.
where I'm a partner. Yeah.
And also,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that you're saying this, but instead of, because I was thinking, okay, well maybe that's bad writing or bad planning on their part, but I think it just highlights what a young, immature, easily hijacked amygdala guy Pete is. It just shows more of who he is as opposed to that wasn't written well.
Right.
Because
No,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah.
was thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, well maybe they wrote that wrong, but I don't think they
No,
did.
it's Pete.
Pete and
Yeah.
Harry are the kind of losers who only succeed by working hard.
But also the most despicable. Like
Right.
they're also little shits.
So to that point, Roger Sterling, right, who hasn't done anything in like decades, right,
He's back.
comes through with this huge win. And even though he's a spoiled guy, has the easiest job in the world, born into money, et cetera, you can't help but like him, which is his character, right?
Yeah.
He's a likable dude. That his job is to be likable. So when he won this week and he delivered, I was like, way to go, Roger!
And not only did he deliver, he took the idea of if you love something, do it, and it never feels like work. He sleeps with stewardesses.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
his new plan, and it works because he
He's
loves
genius.
doing it.
That's
Right.
the color of his
Genius.
parachute, as it turns out.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
we're talking around like the big
Yeah,
bombshell
right,
of this
right.
episode,
Right, we
which
are.
is that Sterling Draper Cooper Price is now going to merge with Peggy's new firm CGC to
Yeah.
form whatever they
The
decide
Uber
to name
company.
it. Yeah. I mean,
Did you see that
thoughts?
coming?
No, not at all. I mean, obviously they were struggling. They're trying to land the big client. They're trying to establish themselves. They need to be able to compete on a level where they can have offices in various cities and stuff. So it makes perfect sense. But given how they seem to be about to self-destruct from week to week anyway, just
Yeah.
from their own internal crazy egos. It did never occur to me that they would actually open their arms to somebody else.
Do you think when both of them lost catch up and they both had these great ideas, do you think that's what happened? Do you think they took those little ideas and gave it to a bigger company?
In terms, do you think the company
You
stole
mean you think
them?
Yeah.
Heinz stole
Yeah.
them? Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of thing happens.
Oh, no doubt.
probably. I
Yeah.
don't think Heinz has any problem.
Do you think that was sort of the last straw for Ted to go, you know what, let's not have this happen again?
Yeah, I think so.
think
Yeah.
his friend and partner having cancer was probably the last straw.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
I this was my favorite episode so far, and because I'm obsessed with intrigue. I think intrigue is the secret
biggest part of
sauce.
them.
You
It's the
spell-
biggest part of it.
Can't
by
spell
far.
Vims without intrigue.
That's right.
Or Vicks?
Okay. So we had a lot of intrigue here, and I loved it, and so that moment where they're up at night and they meet at the bar, I like that too, because I thought it's about life, right? So if Don didn't have that big idea, they were all going to lose. Okay, they were all going to lose big time. But that one idea sometimes makes a difference.
Yeah.
Sure.
His idea was so good, by the way.
Yeah.
The Don's idea.
faces.
The way to roll out the car.
Yeah.
What about then, sort of related to that, Peggy's kiss with Ted, and then the incredibly un-Mad Men-like moment, it seemed like something that Mad Men doesn't do, of Peggy imagining Ted there instead of Hippie, and kissing him, and that just struck me. It's okay, I get the storytelling technique, but it was not Mad Men-y. It seemed like, I don't know whether I'd have flashed
very soap opera-y.
It was a little soap
It's a
opera.
little dream sequencey, but I thought it was an economical way to sort of let us know what she's thinking, and the whole notion that that she's basically about to have sex with Hippie, thinking about Ted the whole time.
Yeah, sure. But and then at the end, we don't know what Peggy's thinking. Is Peggy? She almost seemed like she was about to cry.
Poor Peggy, man. It's like all she wanted to do was differentiate herself from Dawn and fly out on her own, and she flew in a big circle and she had no
right back
idea.
in again. Yeah.
She would have, and maybe because she also, I'm going to decide that she didn't even really want to sleep with Ted. She really wants to sleep with Dawn, and she
paging Dr. Freud.
and at the end, and of course, she would have in a heartbeat with Ted. All Ted had to do was kiss her for
An extra
1 second more,
Yeah.
and Peggy would have taken her clothes
Yeah,
off.
and you see that's the difference between Ted and Don. Because when Peggy went like this, which was gentle, right?
Yeah.
Don
It
would have
wasn't
been
a
like,
shove.
Right.
yeah, Don would have been like this. Okay, like I think you mistook me for Ted. I'm Don Draper. Okay, and he would have said
It means yes.
And then it
if you're
turns
Don
out
Draper,
Megan's
yeah.
mom has a moment where she was right. Like she gave Megan advice that worked.
Yeah.
Megan's mom got the best lines in this episode.
Yeah.
Like when
And they
she,
weren't even in English.
when she tells Megan, "You have confounded all of our expectations,"
Yeah, that's right.
i.e., you succeeded. Who knew that was going to happen? The thing about like not like the grand-mère, ugh, I hate that, and I'm finished with these flowers if you want
Oh, they're
them. And
totally
her phone conversation with Roger was like Julia Ormond was for the
Ormond
kill.
My favorite line in French was, "Can I break this bottle over her head?"
Yes, that was a good
I
one
thought
too.
that we were all scared for a moment that
The wife spoke French.
Dimwit
Yes,
spoke French.
I thought
right?
that too.
But I
She just
love.
speaks puppy.
I just love Julia Ormond at Don's house, knowing that right. Just the second time Roger calls, just that. No, doesn't care. Doesn't care. It's not her phone. It doesn't make any difference. Yeah.
Dr. Rosen.
Dr. Rosen. Yeah.
What do we think that he's going to go to Houston? Do we think that Mrs. Rosen's going to leave and leave Don in the lurch?
I think yes. Well, there's no way Mrs. Rosen doesn't go with Mr. Rosen.
Well, doctor, clearly.
Right.
But I mean, do we think that he's going to leave town so that he can go be the heart expert that he needs to be?
Well, so I thought two things about that. Number one, I thought, oh, please go to Houston, because I really like Dr. Rosen, and I
Yeah,
think he's
me
getting
too.
screwed big time,
Right.
and I feel like that's a robbery. Like, go to Houston, recover your life that you don't even realize is broken. But and number two, I think as a plot device, it's going to be a really easy way of removing her from Don's life. So my guess is they're going to go to Houston.
Is this the show's first sort of sympathetic cuckold for Don in terms of like where we actually get to know who
Yes.
the woman is cheating on and like him?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
So that's-
I
Absolutely.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And at least we got the word cuckold in here.
Thank you.
Because the other woman who he'd had the cheating on, even though they didn't do it at that point, was our friend John Ailes. Do you know John Ailes? Did you ever meet John Ailes?
No, I don't think so.
Never mind, my friend John Ailes, who was the artist, strung out hippie
Right.
heroin taking
Oh,
husband.
the one with Rosemary DeWitt.
Yeah.
Right, with Rosemary DeWitt. I thought that what was interesting here is we had the line that wasn't in 42, which is Branch Rickey's great line of "luck is the residue of design," which is my thing my father taught me when I was young. It's a great line.
Right.
And Don said a variation of it when Dr. Rosen was all like, "I'm never going to get to be anything. The world's against us. It's bad luck." And Don, I don't remember what his exact line was, but it was essentially,
You make your own
You make
fate.
your own fate. Like luck is the residue of design. Like, come on, you can do it. So that would indicate to me that if Dr. Rosen continues, if it takes that to heart, that he would in fact end up going to.
Here's another reason I love Dr. Rosen and feel terrible for him is because he didn't do anything wrong. He's a good husband. He's successful, strong, funny, smart.
Goes to the office
right?
and skis.
And according
Right.
to Julia Ormond, handsome.
I think handsome too. I was gonna say,
No, he's not. Let's keep it real. Okay? and that's the problem is that like no matter how much he does everything right, his wife fucks Don anyway
Right.
because he's better looking. And so that makes me go, Dr. Rosen.
just better.
I love you, man.
He's
I'm
not-
on your side.
He's not just better looking. I mean,
He's taller.
Don is. I mean, part of Don is you. Don exudes tremendous confidence.
Right, but Dr. Rosen
Thank
is not
God.
weak.
Thank God you're not better looking.
that's-
None of us would have a shot.
Would it put Dr. Rosen's mind at ease if you said, look, you could be 10 times hotter, but Don is still Don? I
Yeah.
mean, come on. It's
Yeah.
not Dr. Rosen's fault that he's not Don.
I secretly feel sick for Dr. Rosen.
Yeah.
All right, we got to go. Successful. I think
Great episode.
I liked last week's better, but I love these two.
Yeah, these last two have been terrific.
Yeah, I think last week's episode got a bad rap because people don't like to see Don not on top of things. But I think get ready. I think we're going to get more of that as this series comes to a conclusion.
Well, and we got the pendulum swinging the other way. Last week was about the heart, and it was about each character. This was about like the greatest business decision ever made. So I think we got both.
All right, good stuff. Next week, episode whatever, 7. Thanks, everybody.